For today's video, we've got the Tele-Viper and Cobra Flight Pod Trouble Bubble on Way I Got It Figured.
The way I got it figured.
What's up, Joe fans? Way I Got It Figured back with another special G.I.Joe Classified review. This time we're looking at number 79 in the series, the Cobra Tele-Viper and Cobra Flight Pod Trouble Bubble. I actually got this as a gift from my good buddy Phil over at Crossfire Collectibles. Sometimes with these G.I. Joe Classifieds, he's actually sort of keeping me in it, in a sense, keeping me in the game. And he graciously gave me this Trouble Bubble. You know, I tried to not take it, but you know, he wanted me to have it, so I have it, and here it is. It actually, it's funny, pretty ironic, because historically, over all the years of G.I. Joe, I've always discussed my disdain for the Tele-Vipers in general. I always just thought they were just morts of the month in a sense. Totally lame figures. And when there used to be a KB Toys when I was a kid, we had a KB Toys at the mall, and they had the single bagged figures of G.I. Joe characters from 1985. And I think some 1984 guys. And at the end of it, the ones that were left over, I mean, I think there was like maybe a couple of Crimson Guardsmen, but there was like an entire box of nothing but Tele-Vipers. And, you know, nobody wanted them. I didn't want them. We didn't want them. My buddies didn't want them. We just didn't want them. You know, so I think that's kind of where it started with the Tele-Viper. How it was just lame. Nobody wanted it. You know, it comes with a camera. It doesn't even come with a gun. So, you know, in the halcyon days of yore, guys like Breaker and Trouble Bubbles, I mean not Trouble Bubbles, Tele-Vipers were not highly prized. Barbecue, Airtight maybe was like a cut above, but there were certain characters that were just sort of, you know, thought to be lame. And in fact, it sort of gives me an idea for a video that I might do, the top 10 worst G.I. Joe figures of all time. But even the worst G.I. Joe figure, still a pretty good figure, no matter how you slice it. And the Techno Vipers do have a place in anybody's collection. You know, we certainly did have a few. We just weren't getting tons of them from KB Toys. So I'm having this one. Yeah, sure. It's definitely worthy to have in the collection. And once again, you know, I want to thank my buddy Phil who definitely hooked me up with this one. So getting into it, we're going to look at the figure, we're going to look at the box, we're going to look at the Trouble Bubble itself. We're going to be a little bit perplexed. We're going to be perhaps a little bit amazed. And we're going to get out of here with some final thoughts. So firstly, as we always do, I'm going to go over the package. And this box is so like massive that, you know, I can't even set up the normal thing that I set up here, the backdrop that I have with the characters in it. The box just, it's rather large. It gives me the feeling of how G.I. Joe figure vehicles were packed back in the day. They came with these overly large boxes, more box almost really than what you were getting. Because that's the psychology of selling toys to parents, that the bigger the box, the more value they perceive in it. And I don't know if that's what's at work here, because it's really us old guys that are buying these things. But the box is pretty big. It's just a substantial box. So, I mean, I don't even really need to get a close-up on it. It's so large. That's what she said. So you can see the front of the box here. Nice toy photography as always. The G.I.Joe Classified team. With the Tele-Viper flying the flight pod. Several in the background. It's pretty nice, you know, pretty nice picture. Gets the point across. And you have the character art here. And you have his equipment, some of which goes to the Trouble Bubble, some of which goes to the Tele-Viper. And I do like that they make the figure the star of the show in Classified. Back in the day, the vehicle was the star and the figure just sort of came with it. In most cases, you know, you had your Serpentors, your Destros, your Sergeant Slaughters that would get top billing, but for the most part, it was the vehicle that always got the top billing. Not so Classified. So we got number 79 here, and you got your QR code as ever, and you can scan that for whenever it works, which it does not right now. Then you have your back matter with measurements, your insets, and of course your file card symbols. So the Tele-Viper is at 6'3", comes with a couple of heads, which we'll get into, and the classic weapon, well, it's not a weapon, it's the camera and backpack and cord for the Tele-Viper, and then the bomb thingy and the missiles for the Trouble Bubble. So looking at the file card portion, we'll get it close here. It's got a 2 telecommunications device, a 1 electrical engineering, and a 1 cryptography. So, you know, they're like technicians, but they're not super duper, you know, they're not dial tone or breaker. You know, they're troop army builders, so they're not, you know, anything special. We've got our figure here, and the Tele-Vipers are the Cobra Communications officers. They handle all the you know, field communications and camera work for the Cobra Legions. Keep them in contact with headquarters. I have their file card here, so that you can read that from 1985. And it's a pretty cool figure, but we're going to go over the accessories first. So he comes with 2 extra heads, one being this new wave head, kind of an updated look for the Tele-Viper. And I don't know, it looks kind of cool. Might consider doing that. And we've got the African American head, or the so-called woke head, according to Jeremy. If you know, you know. and knowing is half the battle. The classic backpack, but it has some paint apps on it to give it some pop and make it feel like it does something. I don't know what's going on here. Back in the day, it was just a flat thing. In the comic book, it was a camera. But it looks like almost like some sort of Sonic thing now. I don't know, maybe these guys make the G.I. Joes crap their pants or something with sound. Like they did in Cuba. And then you got the wire, which seems to be standard across anything needing a wire. If you watch my tripwire video, it comes with a wire that's a little bit grayer than this, but it's pretty much the same wire. Then you've got the bomb that goes to the trouble bubble, even though I have yet to find out where it goes on the trouble bubble. And of course, it comes off and there's some details there. Getting it back on is kind of a chore. Oh, you're like a clumsy, fat-fingered oaf like me. There you go. Let's look at the accessories. Let's get a closer look at the Tele-Viper proper. So, you know, there's some reuse going on here. Looks like the legs, of course, are Falcon's legs, Ricondo's legs. Falcon and Ricondo. The arms, I don't think anybody got these arms. They might be new arms. I don't think I have these arms in my collection anywhere. And the shirt may be the Ricondo shirt. I can't tell from here. I know it's not the same shirt as Firefly or Scrap Iron, but with the vest in the way, can't really tell. And then, you know, because they decided to be woke, as they say, instead of having skin here, they have them with this sort of Under Armour type outfit, you know, Under Armour shirt on underneath the shirt. That's smart. You know, you want your fascist guys to not also be racist guys. So, you know, if you you know, Cobra's an inclusive fascist organization. You know, they want you to, they don't care what color you are, they just care that you want to help them take over the world. As it should be. You got your Cobra symbol, nice and tempoed on there. And as for your articulation, it's pretty much the standard Joe articulation. So you've got your butterfly joints, your T-pose, your bicep swivel, the vest is stopping the abdomen articulation, but you know, that's nothing new. It's what always happens. You've seen this movie before. You know how it ends. A lot of times the belts like sort of ride up in the package, so I like to put them in the correct position. It does help out a little bit at times. Not much here. Actually, this might be the Viper shirt. Now that I think about it, I think this is the same shirt the Viper has on. I don't have any Vipers around in the immediate area, but I'm 90% sure he's wearing the same shirt that the Viper figure is wearing. Regular Viper. And in fact, these arms are probably Viper arms too. When I do the comparison portion, I'll have a Viper. I'll go grab a Viper. But I'm thinking that's what we're dealing with here. Viper arms, but not, well, definitely the Viper shirt. I'm not sure about the arms. And then, of course, you got a little tight. And of course, you got this computerized thing on the arm. You've got your horizontal wrist, vertical wrist, drop down legs, of course, thigh swivel, of course, chicken neck, of course, boot cut, and ankle rocker. Standard G.I.Joe classified articulation. And parts that you've seen and I have reviewed on this channel before. Now, look at the piece de resistance. You have the Cobra Flight Pod, aka Trouble Bubble, which is a faithful representation of an upgraded 6-inch scale version of the 1985 classic vehicle. It did not come with a figure back in the day. So, you know, the Cobra Telecommunications officer is as good a choice as any. I believe on the old toy you were supposed to stick the bomb in the seat, so it was like, you know, remote controlled or whatever. Because there's certainly no place for it here. This is all sort of a solid piece. And the jet pack, or the thruster pack, just plugs into the back. And you got your rockets. You got your nice details painted on the inside. As well as the control sort of scope on the control surface. The gun, I believe, takes blast effects. I'm trying to see the hole there. And of course it's posable. It's you know, rotating turret kind of deal. And that's it. Let me get the Tele-Viper in the Trouble Bubble. I'll be right back. All right, we're back with the Trouble Bubble with Pilot inside it. And he sits in it reasonably well. It has the seat belt, which is probably the most sketchy thing about it, is even though it does kind of go in, but I can't get it to stay in. It keeps coming out. Perhaps if I wasn't as sleepy and didn't want to spend a half hour trying to make it go in there, I would. But, you know, even without it, he sits in there pretty good. Holds on to the handlebars just fine. And it does look pretty decent. The missile launchers, I can't get them to stay in the missile things here. So instead of having it be just where they're just in there like the old toy with just a big solid piece, and the missile would just tab onto that, this piece tabs into this hole here. And, you know, but it's not permanently like in there. You have to sort of push it. And you can still manipulate the gun. You just have to hold it like this. And it's cool, but you know, you're definitely gonna have to, if you're really, you know, playing with these things, if you're flying around with your flight pods in the house, you know, and the kids to see you or whatever, it's definitely gonna annoy you with these missiles trying to do anything actually mobile with it. Yeah, you know, they'll sit there just fine if it's just sitting, but you know, well, that's about it. You do have the pitch and yaw for the rudders. Evidently this thing shot down 3 planes. Okay, sure, whatever. You know, and it's a pretty faithful representation of the Treble Bubble from 1985. So it's with some upgrades. So you got your nice heads-up display there. And yeah, it looks reasonably good and it works reasonably well. I'm just trying to get the cockpit to snap into place in a sense. It's in there pretty good. Unlike the box, you know, I don't know that I'll solely have the the Tele-Viper being the one to fly. The Treble Bubble, I might have a Crimson Guardsman do it, simply because I have extras of those. Probably want the Techno Viper to be out with the rest of the Cobras. But yeah, it looks nice. You know, you can pose the guy in there and sort of leave him there. And there you go. There you have it. All right, we're going to get the Tele-Viper back out, and then we'll compare him with some other figures. I'll be right back. We're back with the Tele-Viper geared up. I put his woke head on him. And, you know, he looks pretty good with his equipment. Get a little bit closer up with the woke head. Looks pretty cool. Holds weapon. I guess well enough. Keep calling it a weapon, but you know, it's not. Telecommunications device. And yeah, looks good. So of course, can't just go there. We've also got to put on the New Age head. So hard to get that satisfying pop anymore. There we go. don't know. I kind of like it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. But I do like it. Gives them a little modern feel. 2020 something feel. No problem with that at all. All right, let's bring in some guys. So, as I said, the Tele-Viper stands at 6'3", which means he's going to be a little taller. The scrap iron. It's going to be about the same height as the Range Viper. And about the same height as good old Firefly. Firefly's like, I want this seed. You're some schmuck. I'm Firefly. Firefly's a little back heavy because of his backpack. Just gotta do some adjusting here. Sorry about that. They're about the same height. The whole point is the height. There you go. And then to solve the mystery of the shirt, I brought in one of the Vipers from the Viper 3 pack. And it's definitely not the same shirt. In fact, it's not the same shirt as Scrap Iron either. So I don't know. It's interesting. Very interesting. But I do feel like that you know, this is not a completely new figure, but maybe the top part is new because the arms definitely I don't think anybody's got those arms. The bottom part is definitely Falcon. We'll see. For now, I gotta say, it's a new shirt. Maybe it's like Duke's shirt or something. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna move on to final thoughts.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.
Be sure to check out these G.I. Joe classified videos. I'm doing a 7-day series, and these are the videos that will be shown. Thumbnails all here. Check it out.
Now, back to G.I. Joe.
Final thoughts on G.I. Joe Classified Series number 79, Tele-Viper and Cobra Flight Pod, Trouble Bubble. You know, it's a nice set. It's you know, it's everything you kind of expected it to be. You're getting the Tele-Viper. You're getting the Tele-Viper's equipment. You're getting the Trouble Bubble. It's like two figures, paying for two figures essentially. So $54.99. It's almost like two figures. I guess that's reasonable. The Trouble Bubble costs, you know, about as much as a figure. In today's money, it's not going to be less. So that makes sense. The upcoming Python Patrol one's going to cost $10 less, so that's a little hinky how they did that, but whatever. But I do think it's a pretty decent package overall. You know, G.I. Joe Classified Series is knocking it out the park. I gotta give this a 9. It's, you know, obviously there's some reuse on the Tele-Viper, and it's a Tele-Viper. It's not really the most sexy figure in the world. But it does help complete that 1985 lineup. In fact, the only figure I think that we don't have so much as name dropped is Footloose. Alpine's been name dropped. Airtight, I think, hasn't. So Footloose and Airtight are the only ones that we haven't heard high nor hair of. All of the Cobra carded figures are done, and most of the Joes are done. So yeah, I mean 1985 is pretty complete. He helped complete that. I'm gonna give it a 9. You know, it's a pretty cool package. I wasn't gonna get it, you know, just because it was the Tele-Viper, and I had to make choices, but I ended up with one anyway because I'm a good buddy. But yeah, I think 9's good. It's not really an 8. I don't think it's a 10 either. It's not a Serpentor. Yeah, I think 9's pretty good for this. I would recommend it. You know, you should at least have one Tele-Viper in your Cobra Legions. So that makes sense. Alright guys, thanks for watching the videos. I know this is a long one. I know Tripwire is a long one. But, you know, they're deluxe figures. It's a little bit more going into them. So, thank you for your patience. For our next video, we're going to be looking at a twofer. So stay tuned for that. And until next time, everybody stay safe. I'll see you all on the next video. Peace.
The way I got it figured.